Good morning, everyone. So this is the chapter we're gonna see today, engaging with form and content. So artwork communicate visual ideas, just as speaking and writing communicate verbal ideas. In order for viewers to engage with art, 1 second. Sorry about that. So to engage with art, we must interpret the visual language of the artist. So we use a combination of various methods such as description, analysis, and critic to understand the appearance and meaning or content of a work. We can also apply our own viewpoints or critic. So today, we look at the interpretive method that are most frequently used and are most effective. And this chapter is important for you because you're gonna see an essay question in the midterm exam, and you will analyze a work of art by one of the analysis method in this chapter. So please review this chapter carefully. So let's see the first analysis method, formal analysis. So basically the formal analysis is to analyze a work of art based on visual elements and the principles of design we learned so far. So the visual elements include like line, shape and mass, light, color, texture and pattern, space, time and motion. And the principles of design looks like this. Usually, unity and variety, balance, emphasis and subordination, scale and proportion, and rhythm. Um, so a work of art is therefore a product of the dynamic interrelationships between the various art elements and principles. So let's see the definition of formal analysis. The process of analyzing the elements and the principles used by the artist is called formal analysis. To analyze a work of art fully, formally, one describes in specific detail how each element and principle is utilized within it. So let me proceed the formal analysis with this work of art, Edward Hopper's painting, Nighthawks. So it conveys a sense of absence and loneliness. Um, when making a formal analysis of a two-dimensional work, such as this painting, a useful aspect you can consider are the location of objects and the colors used and the relationships between the parts of the composition. So in front of this building, the sidewalk wraps around a curved diner on the street corner and cutting up the group of people inside, whom we see through the glass outer walls. And the inside is brightly lit, in contrast to the street outside. This makes the room a particular area of emphasis in this picture. It further draws our attention to the people, and together with the use of brilliant color in yellow wall behind the counter, exposed them clearly to us, showing how isolated they are. And the stark contrast between the women's red dress and hair, and the black suits and the hats of the two gentlemen make customers, and the white uniform of the waiter make the figures more distinct, um, both within the scene and from one another. So that is formal analysis. So basically, I just proceed um, the analysis based on these visual elements and the principles of designs. We learned so far. So you can do it. You can proceed the formal analysis when you see a work of art if you are aware of visual elements and the principles of design. That is called formal analysis. And the next analysis is stylistic analysis. So we recognize a style in our own lives, right? The way we dress and arrange our hair reflects our personal style. But artworks also have a style or specific characteristic that make them look the way they do. Style allows us to recognize that an artwork was made by a particular artist. A group of artists might share a style because they all used similar techniques, worked at same time, or studied in the same place. Style can be individual or shared by a group, school, time period, or movement. Analyzing style allows us to make connections between artworks. So let's see the examples. So when you look at these two paintings, how do you think? Can you do you think like these two paintings style looks similar?
I personally don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? Why?
Oh, well, I mean the format, the oil on canvas, of course, but there's two completely different settings.
Yep, yep. In that points, yes, you're right. The subject matter and the angles looks different, but the different angle, it can be the point of the style, these two paintings. So, um, so these are the Impressionist artist paintings in 19th century. Impressionism is a 19th century art movement characterized by relatively small, thin, yet visual brush strokes. Can you see the brush strokes in these two paintings? And the open composition, the composition looks, very unique. An emphasis on accurate depiction of light in its changing qualities, and often accentuating the effects of the passage of time and ordinary subject matter, inclusion of a crucial element of human perception and experience, and unusual visual angles. So, Impressionism originated with a group of Paris-based artists whose independent exhibitions brought them to prominence during the 1870s and 1880s. So, like Impressionists, many artists who sought to similar concepts and the trends made a group and they show similar styles. Now let's move on to the third analysis method, iconographic analysis. Iconography examines the visual images and the symbols used in a work of art and leads to an interpretation of the work's meaning. Um, Iconographic analysis identifies objects and figures in an artwork as signs or symbols that can reflect religious or historical contexts, and the meaning of which was often more directly understood at a time by a specific culture, but many now be less apparent to us. So let me show you an example with the iconographic analysis. So this is another Impressionist artist's painting, Edward Manet, um, in 1882. So this painting is rich in detail, which provide clues to social class and background. The woman at the bar is a real person known as Susan, who worked at a bar in the early 1880s. For his painting, Manat posed to her in his studio by including a dish of oranges in the foreground. And Manette identifies the barmaid as a prostitute, according to art historian Larry L. Lego, who says that Manette habitually associated oranges with prostitution in his paintings. And one of the hidden meaning is orange on the right bottom, and it symbolizes prostitution in his painting. So that is iconographic analysis to find the hidden meaning in a work of art. So there is a video about this painting in the Moodle room. So please watch the video to deeply understand iconographic analysis. Now let's move on to the last analysis method, contextual analysis. The content or meaning of a work of art varies greatly between artworks. To understand the context of a work of art fully, you will usually have to undertake some research in addition to looking very closely at the artwork itself. There are now two contextual uh, analysis method, as you can see. One is based on the religious context, and the other one is based on the historical context. Let's see one by one. So this is a church from the Middle Age, and the Middle Age um, existed about 1,000 years between 5th century to 14th century. And the Christianity art flourished in the Western art during that period. This is one of the famous architectures type in Middle Age, which is called Gothic style. And the Gothic style was steered by a powerful French abbot named Suger, who wanted to enlarge and remodel this church. The Abbey Church of Saint Denis near Paris, and he became to believe that an ideal church should have certain characteristics. It should appear to reach up to heaven. It should have harmonious proportions, and it should be filled with light. So to fulfill those goals, His architects responded with pointed arches, ribbed vaulting, flying buttresses, and stained glass windows so large they seemed like translucent walls. So it is ornate, linear, vertical elements that direct the eye upward. So that um, what I just did is the contextual analysis. Here's another type of contextual analysis. There is a lithography printing work of art made by um, realist artist Honor Dormier. So it has the historical context. So let me read this story. So major French cities, including Lyon and Paris, revolted. April 15th, 1834, the Parisian stand the barricades in the streets. During the attack of one of the barricades by the army, Transnomian Street, excuse me, an infantry captain was killed by a shot fired from a house. And the next day, the soldiers will attack very hard rioters and will break down the doors of the building at number 12 Rue Transnomian, supposed to be the one from which the party was shot. All residents of the building, including old men, women, and children, were massacred. So that is the what happened at the time. So a bloody event that will remain in history as the massacre of Transnomian Street, imaged by the painter and caricaturist Honor Dormier. So that was the historical contextual analysis. It could be said that all interpretation involves a balance between the fact and the opinion. Analysis involves careful consideration and discussion of specific aspects of an artwork, while critic offers a theatrical framework for understanding it. Critics of artworks often highlights the ideas, opinions, experiences of the viewer. So, excuse me. This chapter's topic is kind of tricky, but this is a basic concept for art appreciation. So I hope you could apply this analysis method when you see a piece of art. And again, this chapter is important for you because you're going to see an essay question about your appreciation for a work of art in the midterm examination. So please read this chapter carefully. And we have a discussion related to this chapter, which is very important. Now, like I just said, you're going to see an essay question now in the midterm, and then you're going to do the practice today. So everyone, please go to week 5 in the model room, and then go find week 5-1 discussion forum. And when you click it, you'll see 3 paintings here. So please choose one of the painting and then proceed formal analysis. What was the formal analysis, everyone? We just saw together.
The process of analyzing the elements and principles used by the artist.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Like Anna said, the formal analysis is to find all the visual elements and the principles of design in a work of art. The visual elements include line, shape and mass, light, color, texture and pattern, space, time and motion. And the principles of design include unity and variety, balance, emphasis and subordination, scale and proportion, and rhythm. So let's see one of the option, for example. So let's just see the option 1, for example. So
textual analysis.
Yeah. So what can you see? Can you find the visual elements and the principles of design in this work of art? What kind of factor can you see?
I feel like some way, somehow the cat has some sort of meaning. The cat has shoes in the corner.
Maybe, but I mean, the finding a meaning is, requires you to undertake the research, right? So that can be like the, iconographic, analysis way. Now, for the formal analysis, you can just simply find the visual elements or principles of design. So let me do it, for example. So I can see these two couple, um, uh, um, the lady and the gentleman are the emphasis in this work of art. And I think, the lady is the focal point in this work of art because the artist used the green color on her dress, and on the background, the artist used the red color. The red color and the green color, these are the complementary color each other to stamp the image in the viewer's eyes, right? So from that factors, I guess this lady is the focal point in this work of art. And also, the rest of the part, the can be the subordination. And then the artist depicted all the figure and the objects in very detail, which is the representational style. And I can see the implied texture in this work of art. Also, let's talk about the space. So I can see, there is a vanishing point on the center. So the artist used the one point linear perspective, the implied space technique to make the, three-dimensional space on the two-dimensional surface. Like that. So, and also maybe let's talk about the balance. Now I can say like the second asymmetrical balance type, the one dark form is heavier than the lighter form of the same size. Like that. So that is the formal analysis to find all the factors of the visual elements and the principles of design. So anyone can proceed the analysis, even though they don't have any information upon artwork. So that's it. So please post